War in Ukraine is now more than 6 months old. Tonight, a look at the humanitarian crisis.
Food products, shortage of food in the shops. I understood that there will be a problem because thousands and thousands of refugees from the east of Ukraine came in this region.
A look at millions of fleeing and food-deprived refugees and displaced Ukrainians through the eyes of two Tennesseans working to ease the suffering.
What we're doing here on the ground is life-saving grace, really, because they benefit from all the aid and food and clothing that we provide, and it's totally free.
David Van Hooser is a longtime Nashville journalist and documentary filmmaker who traveled to Ukraine.
When your convictions and your beliefs are honest and true, other people sense that and they relate to that and they join in. They want to be part of that. And I think that God is helping us because we're honest.
David documented the relief efforts of his friend and former Memphis resident, Christina Katrakis.
So we're going to send the aid to Mykolaiv region that we can unite together.
Christina is the only ambassador for the International Relations Foundation of the United Nations to remain in Ukraine.
We honestly believe in what we're doing, we're honestly helping, and we have proofs of that. We have thousands of people who receive aid from us every month.
She does so knowing the potential risk to her family and herself, and yet vowing to stay and provide needed food, supplies, and help.
We're staying here. I'm not leaving Ukraine. We're not leaving Ukraine. We're staying here until the end.
Hello again and welcome to a special edition of This Week. 5,500 miles away, Russia's war on Ukraine continues to destroy cities, homes, and businesses, continues to claim lives, continues to displace millions. Tonight, a conversation with longtime Nashville journalist David Van Hooser, who traveled to Ukraine to document the work of a former Memphian, Christina Katrakis, ambassador for International Relations Foundation of the United Nations, and a true guardian angel providing life-saving grace.
I saw the situation. I saw the food products, shortage of food in the shops. I understood that there will be a problem because thousands and thousands of refugees from the east of Ukraine came in this region of Vorokhta and Ivano-Frankivsk. And that was like day after day, thousands are coming, and I understood that it could be a problem. So I said to Christina, you got all your connections, you've got the possibility to unite people, to deliver them the message that we need to do something. We need to find the supply for all the refugees.
They're internally displaced people who were forced to leave their homeland, places like Mariupol, places like Donetsk region, like Mykolaiv, and come here with their children. Some of them gave birth to their children here. You met some of them today as well in our storage. And for them, what we're doing here on the ground is life-saving grace, really, because they benefit from all the aid and food and clothing that we provide, and it's totally free. So every displaced person here on the ground can come and collect a bag full of whatever is necessary for them and for their children and toddlers to live off, which is very important because these people were left without job, without money, without household, nothing, you know, so they really, really need that help.
Welcome back to This Week. This is my friend of 30 years, Nashville journalist and documentary filmmaker, David Van Hooser. David, always good to see you. David is on a mission to get the word out about the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine and showcase how some are literally doing God's work and how much more is needed. God's work. What drew you to go to this?
Okay, that's a good starting point. I was watching when the invasion began. I was watching TV pretty consistently, like a lot of us were, and on a daily basis, I was getting angry. I was getting sad at the plight of the refugees, angry at the Russians for the invasion, and frankly, I talked to God about it, and I said, okay, God, I'm mad and I'm so sad, and that's not helping anyone. That's not changing the situation. It's not helping them, not helping me. What can I do? What can I do? So not long after that, I got a Facebook message from Christina Katrakas, who lives in Ukraine with her family, and she told me, and I'd been following on Facebook after the invasion, and she said, we're doing humanitarian work for refugees, David. Why don't you bring your camera over here and document what we're doing? So that felt like a pretty direct response to my request.
Tell me about your friend Christina, the work she is doing, the danger she is in, despite that she's doing this work.
Okay. Christina is a native-born Ukrainian. She did live in the States for a while, and she is, she's over there and she's committed. I've known Christina for over 11 years now, met her when she lived in the States, but I knew she had a good heart. I just didn't realize how good. And so she's been there. She's committed to her country. She and I think it may have come up in one of the clips, she and her husband, Roman, the gentleman you see is her husband, and once they became aware, they fled from Kyiv, where they were living once the bombing began, went into Western Ukraine, and so became directly exposed to the hardships of refugees there, and that's what moved them to start doing something.
You documented the work is going on, she is doing the physical labor. Let's take a look at the relief effort taking place in Lviv, Ukraine.
From what town? Bashtanka, right? So is that a Mykolaiv region? Mm-hmm. So we're gonna send the aid to Mykolaiv region that we can unite together, and your people from Bashtanka can come to Mykolaiv and pick it up. Since it's how many kilometers that would be?
Да, якщо ми будемо продовжувати про волонтерів, то що я задав.
Right on the second day of war, first day of war, there were lots of calls from people from all over the country asking questions, how to cross border, how to help them get aid, how to get the transportation to the border. There were huge lines of people there at the border trying to cross from the cities that were bombed, and most of them were women with tiny babies. That's how our base here, the volunteers humanitarian aid base of the customs was founded, and that's how we started to work with me, with my organization, with Foundation for United Nations. People are making on daily basis the impossible possible, and hopefully because of people like all of us, the country will prevail.
Actually, 2 months ago, I have joined this humanitarian aid office coming from Kyiv when missile hit my apartment. It was very exciting, so I decided to relocate my family to Lviv. My role here is to make a network, to communicate with Canadians, with USA citizens who want to support Ukraine.
Нам потрібно об'єднатися, нам потрібно.
What inspires me in the work I'm doing is that I'm helping people on a daily basis, and that's the greatest thing, because that's how we all will prevail and survive this. What inspires her is that she's able to help, and her day starts with emails and messages because she's not on the phone, but she's responsible for messages and emails. And she said for some reason, maybe because I'm also a mother with a small baby, I get all these messages from mothers with children asking for help. And said the best reward is when they write me back and tell me that you are the only one who has responded and helped us, and now my baby has food. There were people that were in the areas that were bombed living in the basements, and they were in need of food and aid. He heard stories about how Russian troops, and they started to expropriate everything from the local people, you know, taking away grain, food from them, just like the Stalin did in 1930, so basically the same thing. And it was just devastating on all levels to hear these stories from real people who were calling him from those places and saying, you know, we're going to die of starvation if this, you know, doesn't stop.
I think that when your convictions and your beliefs are honest and true, other people sense that and they relate to that and they join in. They want to be part of that. And I think that God is helping us because we're honest. We honestly believe in what we're doing, we're honestly helping, and we have proofs of that. We have thousands of people who receive aid from us every month. In the first months of war, we delivered to over 1,180 locations and people and individuals. So we have those delivery acts to prove it, you know, and you've seen how it works. We deliver not only to the front lines where cars come and we load them for the frontline towns and civilians. We also help territorial guards and people who are protecting and need medical supplies and front clinics and so on. But we also have civilian internally displaced people who come on a daily basis to our storage and take the necessary things that they need, totally free of cost. So I think the miracle was possible because of that, because it was honest, it was true, and it was full-hearted, and everybody believed in the same cause. We're staying here. I'm not leaving Ukraine. We're not leaving Ukraine. We're staying here until the end.
David, when you look at it, you can't help but be moved by your work and the work that's taking place there. What surprised you on this visit? What did you take away from this visit to Ukraine?
Oh gosh, so much. One thing is the commitment of the Ukrainian people to supporting each other, to helping each other. You know, nobody's making them do this. A lot of them, I call it a grassroots effort. A lot of them originated this on their own. Christina and other people I met along the way, this is something that they initiated themselves to do. So I was so in awe of that consistent commitment and unquestioning loyalty just on a human level to each other.
She is the only ambassador doing this kind of work. How much work is it for her? How much more help does she really need?
A lot. She needs a lot of help, and usually that works best through donations. I'll just say that.
Sure.
But she does it. It's just a consistent need. Food, clothing, shelter. You can go far with a little bit of clothing, but food and shelter are consistent needs every day, every hour.
Stay with us. Our special edition of This Week continues in a moment. We'll be right back. Welcome back to This Week in my conversation with my friend and longtime Nashville journalist David Van Hooser about his mission to Ukraine and the humanitarian relief work he has documented. When you look at the scope of this, you were in a couple of locations, but the scope is massive.
The scope is massive, and it's you and I talked about this earlier. It looks unending. I mean, who can say when this need is going to end, when this war will end, and when the need will end?
What is your concern for Christina in this theater and for the refugees? As you said, not knowing the future and not knowing how much of this aid will continue and if they can get this aid 6 months from now if this war goes on.
My biggest concern is discouragement. It's not really concern for their physical safety, although I think that's always in the back of people's heads, but it's discouragement to deal with this every day. Every day has its crisis or more than one crisis. every day has its needs. And for her and her team, her helpers and the refugees to try to maintain some kind of strength through this is very difficult.
What about the Ukrainian people? They seem to have their backbone stiffened.
They do, and I'm guessing it's been that way for a while. This is not a fresh thing, right, with a lot of them. I learned that along the way as well. And yeah, just their unrelenting commitment to each other, and there's not time to go into it right now, but just a consistent desire to find a different way to help these people out.
Christina Katrakis is risking her life to help the people of Ukraine. She truly is a guardian angel.
Як тебе звати, скажи?
Макар.
Макар? Макар, розкажи, як ви їхали із села, так? Ви були в селі в своєму?
Угу.
І тоді було важко, бо там танки російські стояли, чи що ти пам'ятаєш?
Я пам'ятаю, що ми їхали, що у нас всі машини обстрілювали, що ми бежали пешком, и что мы сидели в камышах. Потом поняли, что надо бежать к домам. Побежали.
Every displaced person here on the ground can come and collect a bag full of whatever is necessary for them and for their children and toddlers to live off, which is very important because these people were left without job, without money, without household, nothing, you know, so they really, really need that help.
We've started providing the food and all the humanitarian aid for refugees, and then the number of products got huge, so we started providing these products to the east of Ukraine, to the front side of Ukraine, where people practically have been living under the bombs every day and every hour.
I have a whole waiting list of people who are waiting for food, and I can't, I just can't say no to them. I put them on hold, and I pray and hope that more food will come, that more aid will come. I want to ask every American, would you want to be a guardian angel and save lives? Because I do. And that's why I'm here, and I'm the only foreign ambassador from the Foundation for United Nations who willingly chose to stay here with her family and a 6-year-old son, risking our lives, but staying here to the end to help these people. Because I think that's what being an American is. That's what I believe in. That's what America is to me. Because we were meant to help people. We were meant to be those guardians of the peace and democracy in the world. We were meant to shelter the poor, to help the weak, to protect them.
She speaks from the heart.
Yes, she does. She really does. And she works from the heart, too.
What do you tell the people in this country? I mean, this is so far away. We see it on television. The United States is helping. Lots of aid money is going over there.
That's right.
There are ways to try to help, but this is going on forever. It's going on for a while, and the country's devastated. It's been virtually destroyed, and there's so many lives that are hanging in the balance that she's just such a small part of the help that's needed.
That's right. And I think, I mean, I'm proud of the way America is helping. I know there are people who say we could possibly do more, and I understand that completely. But I just feel like in helping in any way we can, I know what I did. I sent some medical supplies once. I sent some toys to kids because I knew the kids were leaving their homes and leaving their stuffed animals and toys behind. So I'm not saying that about myself. I'm saying there are avenues that we can help Christina and other people out.
15 seconds. Are you glad you went?
It's life-changing, Bob. My life has been changed because of this.
Well, the message is going to get across, and Christina is doing God's work.
Yes, she is.
She truly is doing unbelievable work. My friend David Van Hooser, stay with us. This week continues in a moment. I want to thank you for spending part of your weekend with us. That will do it for this special edition of This Week. I do want to thank my guest, Nashville documentary filmmaker David Van Hooser, and thank you for sharing your great images from that trip. We want to leave you tonight with a QR code you can download if you want to help the Ukraine relief effort. And as you saw from the images that David brought back, the need is great. Thank you again for watching. That'll do it for this edition of This Week. You have a great week. We'll see you back here next weekend.